What's up, party people? It's your boy Mikey B, Party of Two Brew Crew, and I am here for Sunday Scaries with Bucks McGee. And I'm here representing the NFC South. And if y'all don't already know by now, my team is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I don't care what you say about my dog Ritter, but I'm riding with him. He's new, he's fresh, he only played 4 games last season. Few snaps in the new preseason this year so far, and I'm gonna give him time. I'm gonna give him time to develop. You know, they didn't treat Tom Brady like this. You know, when he was just a scrawny old nobody with 0 rings, and now look at him. You never know what this guy can become. He was a stud in college. I feel like he's gonna do really, really great with the weapons that we have on the Falcons. Now, Carr and Bryce really looking forward to seeing what he's gonna do if he can transfer those talents over to the NFL. And the Bucs, not even worried about them. I don't even care who their quarterback is. I know who the quarterback is, but just don't really care. But I'm excited to see what the NFC South has to bring. A lot of people are riding with the NFC this year. But I really feel like the NFC South is really going to have something to say, and in particular, my Atlanta Falcons. And that's all I got for y'all today. It's your boy Mikey B. I'm going to send it back over to Nutmeg and Bucks McGee. Cheers.
Welcome back into Sunday Scares with Bucks McGee. This weekend we're going home turf, NFC South, AFC South. We'll start off with the NFC, and our featured beer for that one is a lime cucumber goza. Usually on the sour side. I'm a little bit sour on my team. You're not on yours, but
Nope.
Your team is a little bit in a bit of a sour transition, moving away from TB12
Yeah, but we're just preparing to defend the NFC South title.
at 8-9.
Title's a title. Title's a title. I'm not complaining.
You may notice no iPad this week because we're going old school with a notepad, legal pad. Because technology batteries don't last when you have to charge 2 pieces of technology at one time. But I digress. The world we live in, eh? ASMR on the lime cucumber goza from Urban South. Shout out to @NolaHops for being my proxy when I won this giveaway from Urban South in New Orleans. ASMR. Oh, I can already smell that already. That is sour. That is clear and clear.
Oh, wow.
I heard a fly buzz by my head, so let's put a little bit off to the side and for the flies.
Give the guys a little something to drink. Pour out a little something for the homies.
Pour one out for the homies. Our adoring public, as the case may be.
I don't know if they're adoring, but whatever works.
So, biggest 2 stories in the NFC South. One, I would say, is the Bucs transition away from Tom Brady.
Yes.
And 2, I would say, is the including Tampa, the overall musical chairs that is the quarterback situation in this division.
Yes. It's been a transition.
Holy cow, big cucumber. Really, well, pickle, really, but I guess technically they're the same thing.
Yeah.
It's more briny, though, so it doesn't really, I don't really get cucumber as much as I get pickle. It's definitely briny.
Oh, man.
This could go one of 2 ways. Let's hope it's not in a bad way. I don't mind that.
Ooh.
It's more even though it smelled more pickle and more briny to me, it tastes more cucumber, and I think the lime juice. It's not really easy to pick up, but it does cut it a little bit.
No, that's cucumber all the way.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know what? It does have a little bit of body to it because it is described as sour Germantown wheat ale, sea salt, key lime, and fresh cucumber drink. If I can find the ABV on it, I'm sure it's not very hot. 4.2. Yeah, so it's very light and it has that kind of wheat body to it, but all the flavors are spot on.
Oh yeah, that's
spot on.
Like a ring of cucumber in a glass.
Speaking of spot on, let's start with Tampa because they are holding the top spot in the division from last year.
Yes.
So I mean nobody's a bigger Tom Brady fan than you. Everyone knows
Greatest of all time. 7-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time MVP, the greatest to ever do it. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
So I mean, what is your take with their transition moving into this new era? Do you think they're in a good place? And they really have not had a standout. They have a few different options in camp at quarterback, but none have really stood out to this point. So how do you think that's going?
It's tough because you would have Kyle Trask should be the guy. Like in theory, you took him in the second round. He should be the guy. There's no doubt.
Been there a couple of years, knows the system.
Right, but the system has now changed because we've changed OCs. So you have Dave Canellis there from Seattle, who's moved in and kind of running a Seattle/Rams hybrid type offense is what I'm hearing. Kyle really didn't get touched the ball much, and anyone who's followed Brady through his career, he takes all the snaps, he does it all. Like backups get minimal, if no time. So this was a situation where I knew, okay, whoever steps in, if it is Kyle, it's going to be a whole new start from scratch kind of deal. The offense really wilted last year, so you kind of knew that it was going to change, and there was going to be a change at the OC level. So now it's even playing field now. Baker's he's got that moxie to him, which is endearing, but now it's to the point where he's been in the league long enough. He's got to know, I can't just try to run through injuries and play tough and try to be the hero. Like I've got to be smart. I got to play. He's been on 4 teams, last few years. So now it's either Kyle or it's Baker. I think this defense is strong enough where this team can survive. Everyone's sitting there and saying, "Oh, this team maybe is 6 wins at best. They should, they could be in the running for, the number 1 pick." I'm realistic. I think this team could equal what they did last year.
Right.
I think this team can win at least 8 games. Yeah, it's going to rely heavily on the defense. Minimal, mistakes by the quarterback. Run game's got to be solid, but I don't think they're as bad as everybody's making them sound to be.
And let's not sleep on John Walford because current QB3, John Walford, because he did play for the Rams. I don't think it was last year.
No, it was a couple years
ago.
And
but he came in when they were going through a revolving door of quarterbacks, and he played really well for them.
He played well
before he got hurt too.
Right. No, exactly. I think it's just the point of he could be playing for the number 2 spot. Let's be realistic, for the backup. But I think it's going to be a situation where both Baker and Kyle are going to play through. They're going to have to maybe play through the preseason, at least one game, and see what they've got.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're really they haven't made that decision yet. Who's the number 1? And I don't know if they're going to do it before the first week of preseason. So
if you were Coach Todd Bowles, would you split the preseason games where you let each of them have a start with?
Yeah, I think you should. Now everyone knows you don't start your starters in preseason. You don't want someone to get hurt. Like I get that.
It's a unique situation.
Yeah, exactly. You are in a unique situation. Are you playing just to get by the season, or are you trying to win? You're trying to find the best option. I think if it's that tight, then these guys have got to play, and you've got to see what they got.
It's not like you've got Brady or Aaron Rodgers, or someone established who doesn't need the preseason.
Exactly.
And the QB2 or QB3 is just starting to oh hey, yeah, let me start. They're like they're actually starting to figure out if they're the guy, if they can play with the one.
Yeah, I think if Baker was that far ahead of Kyle, then they would have already said, hey, you know what, Baker's going to be the guy. Let's just get on with it. But if you haven't made this call and you're going through this and maybe you're hoping Kyle makes that leap, there's a point where you got to say, you know what, the kid's got it, he's got it. I hope he does, but I don't know. So It's going to be interesting.
Let's rip through their schedule. They do have the dreaded Week 5 bye week.
Yeah, that's freaking ridiculous. Who buys in Week 5?
So your first 4 games, you start off on the road with Minnesota. You get Chicago at home. Long week into another home game on Philly, but it's a Monday nighter, and unfortunately that sets up a short week on the road against rival New Orleans. So what do you think about those first 4 games?
I'm going 2-2, possibly 3-1.
Oh, lofty, are you?
I'm not lofty. Here's the deal. Let me explain each one, and it's not fandom. It's like Minnesota. You don't know. Like, let's be realistic. If you look at the Bucs defense, that secondary is solid. They are solid on the defensive end. Minnesota, we talked about Minnesota being a team in transition, kind of trying to figure out what it is. Not rebuilding, but kind of just throwing pieces here and there to make it stick. Okay? Chicago, they're not there yet. I think we can beat Chicago.
And you're catching them way early when they'll be in a figuring out phase.
Exactly. Philly, I'll give Philly the nod. Philly's the best team in the NFC. Let's be realistic. Unless Philly just collapses and just can't figure it out for some reason, they can't tie their shoes that week, I'll give Philly the nod. Now, New Orleans, everyone is on New Orleans, this and that. I don't think New Orleans is that much better. I really don't. I think they are on equal par with everybody else in the division. Sans the Panthers, because I still think you're figuring out what their offense is. I still kind of think they may be slightly lagging. But New Orleans is not this head and shoulders above, even though they've got Carr now. Like, that's great. But
even being on the road on a short week.
Yes, because this is the thing. I believe Tampa's carrying the chip on their shoulder, because everyone's like, oh man, 6 games at best. They're not this, they're not that. They want to prove to the league that yes, Tom is gone, but they were more than just Tom Brady. And I think if you listen to some of the quotes, like Carlton Davis was like, hey man, they better watch out for us, because yeah, Tom left, but he was one guy. We've got dogs on this team. And I think, now if you told me that was San Francisco, I'd be like, yeah, well, good luck with that. I don't think you're there yet.
Yeah.
I go, it's way too early. But New Orleans on a short week, I still think I think they can do it.
First 2 games out of the bye, both at home, Detroit and Atlanta. Is this still like kind of an early phase for Detroit, or are they kind of getting their wheels under them now?
At this point, Detroit is going to kind of know, I think, what it is, because don't forget, first week of the season they've played Kansas City. They're kind of, that first bit of schedule is kind of crazy for them. But it's going to be an interesting game. And
take the win at home versus Falcons.
Yep, because I'll split those, because I think, especially this year in this division, it's gonna be a lot of split.
Yeah. Okay. So we're 3-1 now. We're 4-2.
4-2. I'll take 4-2. You know what? We're almost close to that 6 mark already.
Yeah.
See, everyone's like only 6 games.
4-2, rough game, road game, short week, Thursday nighter at Buffalo.
I'll give Buffalo the nod. I'll give it because of the quarterback position. They have talent, but Buffalo's kind of teetering on what they are. Unless they lose the week before and we catch them bad, I'll give Buffalo the win.
Okay. Another road game, Houston Texans.
Houston, I will be at that game. Actually, I will be in Houston for that game. We're beating Houston. Like, there's no way the Bucs, like, literally it. Now Houston, they're a team that's coming up and kind of they're trying to figure out themselves. There's a new culture there and everything like that. C.J. Stroud, new quarterback and all that. You haven't really heard much about Houston this offseason so far, training camp wise. But no, I'm going to take Houston.
Next up is a home match against the Titans. Titans are very much in a figuring out phase right now. I mean, we don't know if Tannehill's got much left in the tank. If he doesn't, which of these young guys are they going with?
It's a simple recipe. You stop the run and you force Tannehill to throw.
Yeah. That takes us to San Francisco. Taking the L on that one.
Yep. Taking the L on San Fran.
As you're sitting at 6-4, of course the next one's the Colts.
Yep.
At Indy.
Colts, sorry, taking that one. Nothing to really say.
7-4, Home Carolina, we're splitting road and away.
Yep, splitting the homes in the road, so we're good.
So that's 6-4, 7-4, 8-4.
8-4.
8-4 heading to a road game in Atlanta. Take the L on the road.
Take the L.
8-5 at Green Bay.
Taking the win at Green Bay.
Okay.
Just taking the win. Can't.
9-5 going into your last three. This could be tough because we have these two divisional games that we have to split for L's, and Jacksonville's going to be a tough one.
We're going to take the loss on Jacksonville just because we don't know where they're going to be, if they're already have clinched, if they're just going to be resting. We don't know what the AFC picture is going to look like. So at that point, you take the 3 losses. So it's what, 9-8?
9-8.
9-8. But necessarily, those losses may come earlier, so we could end up on a streak. But just for paper's sake, we're going 9-8.
Yeah, and do you feel confident with that 9-8 going to the playoffs on a 3-game losing streak?
If it is a 3-game losing streak,
yeah.
Because like I said, we're just picking them that way. So even that, because once you're in the playoffs, everything changes.
Okay. New Orleans right at the top. Well, so the next thing, of course, next big topping in this division is, of course, these 3 teams, and really all 4 because of Tampa as well. They all really starting with effectively a new quarterback here.
Right.
Tampa, Brady's gone. Is it Trask? Is it Baker? New Orleans signed Derek Carr as he was jettisoned out of Vegas. Carolina, of course, had the big trade to get the number 1 draft pick, take Bryce Young. Frank Reich has committed to Bryce Young. He's the guy, starter right off the bat. And Atlanta, Desmond Ridder, he was there last year. He did get a couple starts under his belt, but this is the first year that it's really Desmond Ridder's ride.
Right, first full year.
Yeah, so effectively you do have 4 teams with all new quarterbacks.
Right.
Who do you think is in the best shape of those 4 teams with their new quarterback?
I would have to go with New Orleans only because Derek Carr's worked with Dennis Allen, so there's familiarity there. I think it's short term. In the short term, they're the best. They're in the best place. If you're talking long term, it's going to be Carolina. New coach, new quarterback. They're married. There it is. I think in the long term, they'll develop better. So that's where I'm going.
Now, as far as New Orleans, we'll run down one more schedule because Carolina's in a little bit of a rebuilding phase, and Atlanta's in a perpetual rebuilding phase.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the same.
But we will run down New Orleans' schedule. They start off at home versus the Titans.
Home against the Titans. I'll give them the Titans. I'll give them the Titans.
1-0 off the board. We're splitting the divisional home and aways. Their second week is Bryce Young's debut at home on Monday night. Take the L.
Yeah, take the L. We'll take the L for now.
1-1. Now New Orleans goes up to Green Bay.
New Orleans and Green Bay. I will give them Green Bay.
Okay. So 2-1. Home Tampa. That was the flip-flop from the previous one. So from our discussions, that's actually going to be the L. So that's 2-2 after their first 4.
Yes.
2-2 going into 2 road games at New England and at Houston, and a short week home game against the Jags on Thursday.
I will give them Houston hands down. I'm hesitant, but I will give them New England. New England's defense is great. Offense, we have no idea right now. So I'll do that. Jacksonville, I'm going to give them the loss. Jacksonville, I think, is just on another level right now.
That is 4-3. I mean, really, after what they did last year, Jacksonville probably is the better team right now with so many changing parts in New Orleans.
Exactly.
4-3. You got 3 games left for their bye, 2 of which are on the road. One of them's at the Colts. Then they're back home to face the Bears, and then they're on the road against Minnesota.
I am going to give them Indy and Chicago. Nice. I'll give them those wins.
5-3, 6-3.
5-3, and then I think Minnesota wins.
Minnesota went 6-4, sitting at that identical 6-4 to the Bucs.
See that? Look at that. The Bucs were bad. Just saying.
Coming out of the bye, road game Atlanta, road game divisional road game. We're giving them the L 6-5. 3 straight home games. Detroit, Carolina, and the Giants. Following that up with a short week road game in LA to face the Rams.
All right. So I will give them. I'll give them Detroit.
Okay.
They get Carolina.
Okay. Yep.
And the Giants. The Giants are interesting. Oh man, this is tough. This is tough. I think they lose to the Giants.
Lose to the Giants.
Lose to the
Okay.
Giants.
6-5. We gave them Detroit, right?
Uh-huh.
7-5, 8-5, 8-6, and then the Rams take care of business.
Yeah, it's the Rams. Let's be realistic here.
9-6 at Tampa. Normally this would be the loss, but with that split from earlier,
Yep.
that's the win.
That's the win.
10-6, and they're going to beat Atlanta at home.
Yep.
11-6.
11-6.
That's 11 wins for the Saints.
Yep.
And you thought, and you did think that like this division was kind of going to be similar to last year as far as the near 500 division champs. So now all of a sudden you've got Saints with 11. And pretty.
Well, not necessarily pretty. That's what I said now, but I'm also picking this in August.
Right.
You know, and always, you know, the first 3 games also have a caveat. I did not talk about Kamara. So, for all we know, they could go 1-2.
Yeah.
Or just really stink up the joint and go 0-3.
Yeah.
So
really, that 11 wins with if they don't do well with that, if they really miss them, that just really brings them back towards Tampa.
Yeah, that kind of brings them back to the pack. Because basically, New Orleans right now, you would have to say, is the class of the division just because of the quarterback situation. Now, Kamara, if it doesn't work out and they go 0-3, or if they just don't gel offensively at all, their defense, I don't think, is strong enough to keep them in games week after week. Like, their defense is good, but I don't think it's on par with other defenses in the league. So they could end up just, you know, tripping and bumbling, and next thing you know, they're looking at 7-10. But I'll give them the 11 wins.
Yeah. The other 2 teams in a bit of rebuilding state, what do you think is a number that Carolina can be proud of this year, having a new coach, having a rookie quarterback, committing to that rookie quarterback from the get-go? What do you think is a number that this team can be proud of? And we just saw their training camp.
A number they could be proud of. I think if they go 8-9, it's a good start.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if they're gonna blow the world up and be like, wow, here we are, you know, 11-6. I think if they shoot for 8 wins, maybe eke out a surprise and get 9, you know, I think that would be impressive for them. It's a building block because the pieces they have right now are gonna help Young just kind of acclimate himself to the league. You know, Adam Thielen, as long as he stays healthy. I don't know how much of an offensive threat Hayden is going to be. I think he's more of a blocking type tight end. He can catch the ball for sure. He's got some skill. Miles Sanders, it's going to be fun to see how he plays in this here now instead of being in Philly. So it's going to be interesting. Their defense is going to carry them for a while. That defense is really good. I think that defense is going to be the reason why they're really successful this year. And then, of course, you know, year 2 is always where the quarterback takes the step up. So next year for Bryce will be interesting, but I think 8 wins is a solid mark to look for.
And that defense had a lot of injuries last year, but when they were all together, they played really hard.
Yeah, exactly. It was the injury bug. The injury bug that did them in at the end of the year. It's fact. So if those guys can stay healthy, you know, Shaq Thompson's like the main guy there in the middle, linebacker. He's kind of getting up there in age a little bit, but, you know, your corners are great, you know. You just kind of have to see what happens.
Steeper rebuilding curve for Atlanta. And it's funny because they always have like an extra year, maybe 2. How long has Arthur Smith been there?
Arthur's been there what?
2 years?
About 2-3 years.
Okay, so they really have they really should have be ahead of the curve on Carolina here, but it kind of feels like they don't. So what's kind of a good number for Atlanta this year to kind of hang their hat on?
With Desmond Ridder, I don't know what you really got. 6 wins. Honestly, I think they're the 6. Because let's be honest, there's talent there, but I don't think the quarterback matches the talent. You know, Kyle Pitts has got to stay healthy. You know, you drafted Bijan Robinson in the top 10, so he's got to be featured. You didn't draft a running back in the top 10 just to have him, you know, get 10 carries a game and just kind of flounder around.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, exactly. You know, so Drake London, you know, he's an up and coming receiver.
Mm-hmm.
There's talent there. There's talent on that offense. You know, there is questions whether Cordell Patterson's going to be the odd man out in the running back room. He may be released. There's some questions there. Their defense is going to have to step up a little more. They've had some injuries in the secondary in training camp, so it's going to be interesting. It's just the question of whether Ritter can take the step and take it quicker and get this offense going. If this offense stalls and they're putting up barely 15 points a game, his time is going to be short.
And ironically enough, Atlanta got on the bottom rung, but they've got two kind of quote-unquote easier matchups that the other teams don't. They've got a matchup with Arizona. They got a matchup with Washington.
The Arizona one for sure is an easier one. The Washington one just depends how they come out.
Yeah.
Because guys play hard for Ron Rivera, so you don't know what it's actually going to be. So, Washington, it's almost a coin flip. They have great talent there too in Washington. So it's just, who's going to be hot or just clicking that day. But Ritter's the guy to watch. It's either he's there or he's not.
Also, unfortunate for them, they have another matchup that the rest of them don't have. They have the Jets.
Yep. So there you go. So
the world writes itself.
Exactly. You think something's off? No, man. The league will throw something in your schedule, and you'll be like, okay, I guess you're right. It's crazy.
Don't make any guesses where you're right or wrong. Hit up Donnie Dolla signs for all your preseason predictions. Set some bets in for the season, and catch Donnie next, coming up right now, for his picks for the NFC.
We're going to make it rain this year.
All right, Chase. Donnie Dolla's here, back to give you the picks for the NFC South. Now, the NFC South is one of the divisions that I think is probably the hardest to pick because they're all pretty even. I know Derek Carr, he's on the Saints now. I mean, he had a good offense with the Raiders. Now he's basically going to the Saints to play with Thomas Kamara. So they're at, 130 to win the division. Every team in that division is all plus money. So with that being said, we're going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I know with Bryce Young as being a rookie, they also have Thielen and Miles Sanders, and their defense is very good. So, I mean, in the division that's going to be so close, I think we're going to go with the Carolina Panthers at plus 360 to win the division. I mean, you can't go wrong in a division that I think is going to be so tight. So, yeah, we're going to go with the Carolina Panthers to win that division, plus 360. And, like I said, I mean, Carr had Adams, Josh Jacobs, and they still couldn't get anything done. They're always competitive. Carr's still a good quarterback, but, I mean, his age he's getting up there. So, might as well take the biggest plus money besides the Bucs. And thank God Brady's gone, so we don't have to worry about the Bucs. So, fuck Brady, that's all. That's just, here we go. So, yeah, we're going to take the Panthers. Plus 360 to win the division. Back to you, Chase.
Thanks, Donnie. Now it's time for us to make our picks for the NFC South. So, broke it down. You're beating your Bucs chest a little bit with your odds, and then we broke down the Saints schedule and we gave them a little bit of benefit of the doubt with Kamara at first and brought that down a little bit. So, who actually are we picking to win this division?
Two-horse race. I did say, I did give, Carolina, a couple extra wins, but and sitting there and thinking it out, it's going to be honestly, this division is just going to be whoever survives at the end. I think the championship pedigree survives. Taking Tampa, 8-9 to win the division again. 8-9 to win the division.
I really do think that the record will be something like that, whether it's 9-8 or 8-9. It will be in that same ballpark because all these have serious quarterback questions, except for Carr. Carr's missing his best targets right off the bat.
I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be too close. It's going to just be something where a team gets just hot enough to eke it out, And like I said, it's August, so we're just going on what's on paper. But
yeah,
I think the Bucs are strong enough and have that chip where they're gonna find a way to do it, whether it's with Kyle or Baker Bay.
Baker Bay. I honestly, for me, flip a coin. I mean, I'll take this. I'll take New Orleans just for the sake of being different, but To me, it really is flip a coin. I mean, and like we said, I mean, if something go right for Carolina, they could be 8-8, 8-9, 9-8 too.
Yep.
You could have a 3-horse race. And right now, if it's Tampa, New Orleans, they're playing Carolina and Atlanta on the last game of the season, so we're not going to have a win-and-in scenario between the two of them. But obviously, if Carolina's in the mix, you could have a win-and-you're-in scenario between the two of them.
Yeah.
New Orleans might be subject to a tiebreaker. So, I mean, really, to me, like, I will kind of side against Carolina for now, just because you do have the youth and the inexperience there, despite the fact that, like we said, the defense is built up and does play hard. But I mean, really, to me, like I said, I'll just take New Orleans for the sake of being different. But it's a coin flip.
I think I think you have to take the older experienced teams right now.
Yeah.
Till Carolina and Atlanta can prove, hey, we've got these younger teams. These guys are ready to go right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's your safe bet.
For a safe bet, stay tuned tomorrow for the AFC South